Marcus Vane woke to the low, crystalline hum of the alien flagship, a sound somewhere between a choir warming up and a refrigerator dying slowly. The ceiling above him shimmered like frozen water, shifting as the ship adjusted course. He tried sitting up, only to be reminded that alien handcuffs were apparently designed by someone with a personal vendetta against risks. A guard with metallic skin and a permanently irritated expression glanced at him, then looked away as if Marcus were an especially disappointing houseplant. He cleared his throat. "Any chance of breakfast? Or at least coffee? I negotiate better with caffeine. Without it, I just threaten people." The guard blinked slowly, unimpressed. Marcus sighed and leaned back as footsteps echoed down the corridor. Her footsteps, precise, measured, confident, like someone who had never once tripped on a staircase. Princess Aelith stepped into view, her raven hair trailing like a dark ribbon, her glacier blue eyes sharp enough to cut metal. Her long, elegant ears twitched faintly as she appraised him, an expression halfway between annoyance and curiosity crossing her pale features. "Human," she said, and somehow made it sound both like a title and an insult. "Your interrogation continues." "Interrogation? Wonderful. Let me grab my emotional support sarcasm." She ignored that, though her ears flicked in a way that suggested she understood humor but refused to admit it. With a graceful sweep of her hand, the guards released him. Aelith guided him down the corridor, the walls shifting with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed gently, like the ship itself was breathing. Marcus tried not to think about that too much. If the ship started talking, he was filing a complaint with whatever cosmic department oversaw nightmare vessels. Aelith led him into her analysis chamber, a circular room filled with floating holographic displays of star systems, Earth artifacts, and diagrams of technologies Marcus hoped no one ever figured out. She circled him like a scholar examining an ancient fossil. "You claim humans no longer possess the knowledge to operate pre-Exodus devices," she said, "yet your mission was to negotiate access to them." "My mission," Marcus said, "was mostly to smile, make diplomatic hand gestures, and hope nobody vaporized me." "That explains your performance so far," she replied dryly. Despite himself, he chuckled. "You wound me, princess." She paused for a fraction of a second, just long enough for him to swear she was suppressing a smile, then straightened. "You will answer my questions accurately." The next hour involved him trying to explain human technological history, while Aelith stared at him with the intensity of someone attempting telepathy through sheer stubbornness. He attempted jokes to keep the atmosphere from turning into a funeral for diplomacy, and although she didn't laugh, her ears betrayed her, tilting subtly whenever something caught her interest. Eventually she dismissed him, waving him away like a malfunctioning drone. Marcus was escorted back to his cell, where he stretched out on his absurdly comfortable alien cot. He was moments from drifting into a reluctant nap when he heard it, a soft chime, followed by the door sliding open with the gentlest hiss. Princess Aelith stepped inside, not with soldiers, not with threats, alone. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Everyone is asleep." He blinked. "Okay, should I also sleep? Is this a bedtime update?" She stepped closer, her shadow merging with his, her long ears angled sharply toward him. "Come to my room tonight, human." Marcus stared, unsure whether this was seduction, entrapment, or a very specific kind of cultural misunderstanding. "Why?" Her glacial eyes locked onto his. "Because there are truths that cannot be spoken during the day." And just like that, she vanished into the hallway, leaving the door to slide shut behind her. Marcus lay back down, staring at the glowing ceiling, wondering how exactly his diplomatic mission had turned into midnight invitations from a mysterious alien princess with a face like carved moonlight and a secret she wouldn't share. Part of him was terrified. The other part whispered that if he didn't go, he would regret it more than anything. He exhaled slowly. "Great," he muttered. "I'm either about to uncover a galactic conspiracy or get murdered in her bedroom. Perfect." But even as he tried to convince himself otherwise, he knew he would go. Marcus waited until the corridor lights dimmed to their muted, bluish night cycle. The ship entered its resting phase, though calling it rest was generous. the vessel still thrummed like a sleeping dragon having vivid dreams. Guards rotated out, drones floated into recharge alcoves, and the flagship felt quieter, though never silent. Nothing on this ship was ever silent. Even Marcus's boots sounded suspiciously loud as he stepped out of his cell, like a criminal sneaking out past curfew. He kept his pace slow, trying not to look guilty, which naturally resulted in him looking extremely guilty. At one point, a drone drifted past him, glowing with soft green lights. Marcus froze, smiling as if greeting an awkward acquaintance. The drone scanned him, beeped, and floated away. He exhaled. If he survived this, he was writing a very angry letter to whoever designed spaceship surveillance. A few turns later, he found himself before the princess's door. This was it. No going back. He hesitated only long enough to whisper, "If I die, may someone delete my browsing history." Then the door parted with a soft sigh. Aelith's chambers were nothing like he imagined. He expected a royal suite dripping with alien luxury, maybe a giant throne she practiced dramatic poses on. Instead, the room was cluttered with star charts, projection crystals, old scrolls, and a spherical device pulsing faintly with violet light. The place looked less like a princess's bedroom and more like the dorm room of a stressed honor student 1 week before finals. Aelith stood by the device, her long ears angled with sharp concentration. She didn't look at him immediately. "Close the door." Marcus obeyed, swallowing. "So, is this where you reveal that your people eat humans? Because I skipped dinner and I'm concerned about the symmetry of this arrangement." "The only one at risk of being devoured here is you," she said absently, then froze as if realizing the phrasing. Her ears gave a tiny embarrassed twitch. "Not literally." "Good clarification," Marcus said. "I appreciate specificity." She gestured him closer. The device emitted a quiet hum, almost like it recognized him. "Do you know what this is?" Marcus eyed it. "A very advanced disco ball?" Aelith exhaled sharply. The alien version of an eye roll, he suspected. "It is an interface component from the pre-Exodus era. Ancient Earth technology. Your people created systems so complex that even we cannot decipher them entirely." Marcus lifted a brow. "We also created reality TV. So you see, our genius is inconsistent." That earned him a tiny smirk, gone so quickly he wasn't sure he didn't hallucinate it. She tapped the violet sphere, and holographic diagrams unfolded like blooming flowers. He recognized some symbols, barely, mostly from outdated textbooks he pretended to read during training. "So why bring me here?" he asked. "You already interrogate me publicly. What's the secret purpose of these midnight meetings?" Aelith hesitated, and for a moment he saw something unusual. Vulnerability. Not weakness, never that, but uncertainty. A princess who wasn't entirely sure whether she was doing something brilliant or catastrophically stupid. She stepped beside him, lowering her voice. "My people intend to activate the ancient weapon hidden beneath our capital world," she said. "A weapon built around human knowledge, a weapon no one fully understands." Marcus's breath caught. "You're telling me your empire wants to fire up a doomsday device based on technology we ourselves forgot how to use?" "Yes. That sounds exactly like something humans would do. I'm so sorry." Her lips twitched again. Then she looked away. "You asked why I sent for you tonight. This is why. I need your help to stop it." He blinked. "Stop it? You? But you're the princess. Don't you get, I don't know, a vote?" "My father listens to the War Council, not to me." She touched the device gently, her pale fingers brushing its smooth surface. "If I oppose them openly, I will be removed from succession. If I fail privately, countless worlds will burn." Marcus stared at her. She wasn't trembling, but her long ears angled downward slightly, betraying the strain. He had seen war, he had seen fear, but he had never seen a royal heir standing quietly in her messy chamber, confessing the weight of millions on her shoulders. "You said you needed ancient Earth knowledge," he murmured, "but I'm a diplomat, not an engineer." "I know," she said. "I chose you not for your knowledge, but because you are unpredictable, creative. Humans think sideways. You make impossible choices." Marcus raised a finger. "Just to clarify, you want me to help stop your entire empire from using a galaxy-destroying weapon? Because humans are so strange we might accidentally succeed? Yes, that is honestly the most flattering thing anyone has ever said to me. Before she could respond, the device flickered, casting both of their shadows across the walls in rippling light. Aelith stiffened. They are increasing surveillance tonight. You must return before the guards notice. Marcus nodded reluctantly. Same time tomorrow then? Or do conspiracies come with flexible scheduling? She stepped closer than before, her voice barely a breath. Come when the lights dim, and say nothing of this. As he slipped out, her long ears angled toward him, silently tracing his departure. Marcus walked back through the corridors feeling lighter and heavier at once. He had come aboard this ship as a prisoner. He was no longer sure what he was now, but he knew one thing with absolute clarity. He would return tomorrow night. Marcus spent the entire day pretending not to think about the secret conversation he was absolutely thinking about every second. The interrogation chamber felt smaller than usual, Aelith's questions sharper, the guards more suspicious. Every time the princess walked past him, her long ears angled ever so slightly, as if checking whether he intended to speak. He didn't. Mostly because he wasn't suicidal. The War Council might have been paranoid, but they were excellent at paranoia. She dismissed him earlier than usual, which only made the guards more confused and Marcus more nervous. They marched him back to his room with the enthusiasm of malfunctioning forklifts. When the door finally slid shut behind him, he sighed and flopped onto his cot, staring at the shifting ceiling. The ship's lights flickered through their cycle, bright white, pale blue, soft violet, before dimming to that gentle night sky glow that meant the vessel had entered rest mode. As soon as it did, Marcus got up and attempted to walk like someone who wasn't doing something illegal. This, of course, resulted in him walking like a man balancing a stolen birthday cake on his head. He paused at an intersection, checked for drones, and hurried toward Aelith's chambers. When her door opened, she was already waiting. She stood on her balcony, if one could call a transparent platform jutting from the hull of a starship a balcony. Stars spilled across the void like powdered diamonds. Below, nebula streams glowed in violet and green hues. Marcus stepped forward carefully, trying not to think about the fact that beneath his feet was a several thousand-kilometer drop to absolutely nothing. Aelith didn't turn. You are late. I prefer to call it fashionably delayed, he said. Very common among humans, especially the diplomatic ones. Her long ears twitched in amusement. You assume I do not know human customs? Do you know about being fashionably delayed? No. Then I'm educating you. This earned him a sideways glance. She studied him for a long moment, as if checking his sincerity. Though Marcus suspected, she was really just deciding what kind of trouble he was about to cause tonight. She gestured him closer. Look out there. Marcus stepped beside her, leaning on the transparent railing that absolutely did not make him comfortable. The view was breathtaking. A spiraling nebula drifting around the flagship, its gases lit by distant starlight. It's beautiful, he whispered. It is a battlefield, she corrected quietly. The Council intends to reclaim this region. They believe the ancient weapon will grant them absolute victory. Victory through ancient technology we barely understand, Marcus said. What could go wrong? Aelith gave him a flat stare. Everything. Ah, we're on the same page then. She tapped a small control on her wrist. A hologram unfolded between them, showing the central world of her people. It was massive, ringed with glittering orbital structures and shield arrays shaped like geometric petals. That is my home, she said. Deep beneath the palace rests the weapon, a crystalline core we call the Pillar of Ruin. Not the friendliest name. It predates our language. We believe your ancestors built it, or something built it for them. Marcus rubbed his temples. So Earth built a cosmic doomsday pillar and then forgot about it? Sounds like humanity, all right. Aelith turned to him, the balcony lights outlining her pale skin and dark hair, her long ears angled with grave intent. This is why I need you. I cannot decode the activation matrix alone. I need human insight to understand what your people once created. Marcus laughed softly. So you want me to help sabotage a massive death device built by my species? Sure. Why not? I needed a hobby. Aelith's gaze softened, though she tried not to let it. You make light of everything. Better than making darkness of everything, he said. Darkness usually gets me killed. Her lips curled faintly. Marcus Vane. You are infuriating. Thank you. I strive for consistency. Silence settled over them, not heavy, but thoughtful. The nebula's light shimmered across her face, giving her an ethereal glow. Marcus wondered whether she noticed how close they were standing. He tried to inch slightly back, and his foot went through the transparent balcony floor. He yelped and stumbled. It's solid! Aelith grabbed his arm, steadying him effortlessly. Your eyes deceive you. The material refracts light differently. Right, Marcus said, gripping her arm tightly. I'm great with heights. Amazing, actually. I only panic at heights, widths, depths, distances, edges, platforms, and balconies. You are impossible, she murmured. And you still invited me here, he countered. Her ears flicked again. Embarrassed? Maybe. He couldn't tell yet. She released him slowly as though reluctant. Tonight, she said quietly, I will show you something no outsider has ever seen. She tapped another control, and a second hologram appeared, this one showing the interior of the Pillar of Ruin, vast crystalline halls, humming energy conduits, and a central sphere that seemed to swallow light. This is what we must stop, she whispered, but you must decide for yourself if you will help me. I will not command you. Marcus stared at the image. He wanted to say no. He wanted to say, I'm just a diplomat, or this is above my pay grade, or I have a very strong preference for not dying. But he didn't. Instead, he said, Princess, if we succeed, will your people survive? Yes. And if we fail? My people will fall. Yours will follow. Marcus nodded slowly. Then I guess we try. Her eyes widened in something like relief. Not joy, not yet, but something hopeful. Thank you, she murmured. Don't thank me yet, he said. I haven't done anything heroic. I am notoriously terrible at heroics. Ask anyone. Aelith actually smiled, soft and brief, and beneath that distant nebula, on a balcony made of invisible material and questionable safety standards, their alliance truly began. Marcus woke to the distinct sensation of being watched, which was never comforting on an alien warship. Two guards stood outside his cell, staring at him with identical expressions that suggested they were debating whether humans were a fascinating species or a disappointing evolutionary prank. He sat up, cleared his throat, and offered them a diplomatic wave. Morning, he said, or whatever your species calls the time when people pretend to be awake. Neither guard reacted. Their helmets didn't even blink. He missed Earth. There, at least, people groaned in the morning. The door slid open with a crisp hiss, and Aelith strode in with her usual icy confidence, long ears angled in that strict, regal posture that made her look like she'd been sculpted rather than born. They locked eyes for a fraction of a second, just long enough for Marcus to see recognition flicker through her expression before she snapped back into her interrogation face. Human, she announced sharply. You will come with me. Marcus blinked. Hello to you too. One of the guards nudged him forward. Marcus whispered, just once I'd like a friendly escort. Maybe someone offers me a snack. Is that so unreasonable? The guard remained stoic. Aelith led him down the corridor with long strides, offering no indication that the events of last night, nebula-lit confessions, secret alliances, balcony near falls, had ever happened. Marcus resisted the urge to whisper something stupid like, so, fun balcony time later? Because he had some sense of self-preservation. A small amount, barely. But it existed. When they reached the interrogation chamber, she turned to the guards. Leave us. The guards hesitated. Marcus didn't blame them. Last time she dismissed them, he'd walked out looking surprisingly untortured. But Aelith's tone left no room for argument. They stepped out, and the door sealed behind them. The moment they were alone, Aelith dropped her shoulders and exhaled. The transformation was so sudden, Marcus nearly applauded. Finally, she muttered, pretending to despise you is exhausting. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Marcus said. I'm touched. Deeply. She gave him a sharp look, but her ears flicked in faint amusement. Today we must behave carefully, she said, pacing the room. The council suspects something. They have increased surveillance on all high-priority subjects. High-priority subjects, he repeated. Meaning me? Because I'm important? Or because you might be hiding snacks in your room for me? Because you are unpredictable, she said. And because you made a fool of me in yesterday's public session? Marcus blinked innocently. What? All I did was accidentally call you your icy adorableness. Her ears flushed nearly violet. Do not repeat that. I'm just saying it fits your brand. She pressed a hand to her forehead. You are insufferable. And yet you keep inviting me to midnight weapon sabotage meetings. Interesting, isn't it? Lower your voice, she hissed, stepping close enough that he could feel the cool temperature of her skin. I must maintain the illusion that you and I are adversaries. If anyone suspects our alliance, they will remove me from succession and execute you. Publicly, with an audience. Marcus swallowed. Fantastic. Love that. Great motivation to behave. The door chimed suddenly and her expression snapped back into Ice Princess mode with terrifying speed. A high-ranking officer entered, bowing stiffly. Princess, we detected irregular movement in the lower decks last night. Security is investigating. Aelith shot Marcus a glare so fierce he almost apologized for existing. Yes, she said. I believe this human attempted escape. He is crafty. Marcus gasped dramatically. Me? Escape? Impossible. I have terrible navigation skills. Aelith elbowed him, hard, while keeping her face serene. Silence, human. The officer eyed Marcus as if imagining several methods of vaporization, then nodded and left. When the door sealed again, Marcus groaned. Ow! Was the elbow necessary? You were improvising poorly, she said. Your acting is atrocious. Excuse me. On Earth I once played a tree in a school play and received applause. That explains much. Despite the danger, she allowed herself a tiny smile. It softened her whole face, made her eyes almost warm, but it vanished just as quickly. She paced again, hands clasped behind her back. Tonight, she said carefully, there will be no balcony meeting. It is too risky. The council has eyes everywhere. Marcus nodded, trying not to sound disappointed. Okay, so what do? We wait and we prepare, and we do not draw attention. Right, so I'll stay in my cell and practice looking harmless. You do not need practice, she said. It comes naturally. Wow, he said. Rude, but fair. She stepped closer, her voice dropping. Marcus, this path we walk is dangerous, but I need you to continue it with me. Do not falter. He met her gaze, surprised by the sincerity in her tone. I'm not going anywhere. Her ears softened, lowering slightly in relief. Good. Before either could say more, alarms blared faintly through the corridors, dull, distant, but unmistakable. Aelith's expression tightened. They are searching again. You must return to your cell, immediately. As she let him out, maintaining an icy facade, Marcus stole one last glance at her. This strange, brilliant princess juggling loyalty, fear, rebellion, and whatever fragile trust they were building. And even as guards escorted him away, he knew the truth. The story between them was no longer just alliance or necessity. It was becoming something neither of them had words for. Marcus didn't have long to celebrate the fact that no one had vaporized him yet. The next morning, his cell door opened with unusual urgency, and two guards marched him through the corridors like a pair of humorless statues with legs. He tried breaking the tension with, You know, on Earth we say, good morning, before dragging someone around. But they remained unmoved, literally and emotionally. They brought him not to the interrogation chamber, but to a small observation deck overlooking the starfield. Aelith was already there, standing with her hands clasped behind her back, long ears tilted in a way that told Marcus she was preparing for conflict. The guards left, sealing the door. She didn't turn right away. I received a transmission, she said quietly. Marcus stepped forward, cautious. From who? She looked over her shoulder at him, her expression unreadable. Your people. His heart kicked against his ribs. My rescue team? So it seems they are tracking this ship and intend to intervene. Marcus exhaled sharply. Well, that's good news, right? Reinforcements, cavalry, heroic music, everything we like. Aelith turned fully, her icy blue eyes piercing straight through him. Not if they arrive before our plan succeeds. If they attack, the Council will activate the weapon out of desperation. Marcus froze. She was right. Humans charging and guns blazing was practically the national hobby. So my rescue is bad because it might save me too loudly? Precisely. He rubbed his temples. I knew I should have taught them about stealth. She stepped closer, tension radiating off her. You must convince them to delay their attack. I can't send messages. I'm kind of under interstellar house arrest. There may be a way, she said, but it is dangerous. He groaned. Of course it is. Nothing fun ever starts with, there may be a way. Before she could answer, the room's alarms pulsed once. Subtle, but not subtle enough. Aelith stiffened. Someone else received the transmission as well. Someone on the Council. Marcus felt the air shift. No wind, but that instinctual ripple that precedes trouble. So they know my people are coming? They suspect, and suspicion is enough for them to act. Marcus stared out at the swirling nebula, feeling the weight of two civilizations pressing on his shoulders. Princess, I'm thinking of starting a petition that we stop building galaxy-ending weapons. Thoughts? Human petitions do not work, she said dryly. I have studied your history. That's fair. She moved toward a console and pulled up the intercepted transmission. It wasn't audio, just a pulsing beacon in coded human frequency. His chest tightened at the sight of it. He imagined the crew who sent it, probably worrying, probably planning something reckless. Aelith watched him closely, her voice softer now. This is what angered you last night. You knew they were coming. He winced. I didn't tell you because I thought you'd, I don't know, react badly, or hand me over, or decide that humans were too much trouble. She stepped closer again, her long ears lowering slightly. I am already committing treason. I am already risking exile. Do you truly believe I would turn on you now? Marcus met her gaze. The clarity in her eyes hit him harder than any interrogation. I didn't want to endanger you. Her expression softened, rare, delicate, almost fragile. You cannot protect me from this, Marcus. He opened his mouth to answer, but the door chimed abruptly. Aelith grabbed his arm and pushed him behind a tall console as the panel slid open. A council enforcer entered, tall, armored, radiating suspicion like a portable alarm system. Princess, the enforcer said, we detected anomalous activity linked to the human. Have you interrogated him today? Aelith straightened, her expression cool enough to freeze plasma. I have not. We believe he is attempting to communicate with an external force. She let out an elegant scoff. He is barely competent at communicating internally. You overestimate him. Marcus mouthed, rude, from behind the console. The enforcer scanned the room. Marcus held his breath. Finally, the armored figure nodded stiffly. We will continue the investigation. When the door closed, Marcus exhaled. I have never been so grateful for someone insulting my intelligence. Aelith gave him a look that could have passed for fond irritation. Come, we do not have much time. She led him through a maintenance corridor he had never seen before, lit by glowing strips of green and silver. The hum of the ship deepened as they moved away from populated decks. Where are we going? He whispered. To the communications spire, she said. If we reach the sub-channel emitter, we can send a signal your fleet will understand. A signal saying what? That you are alive, and that they must wait. He nodded. Good. Let's do that. But just as they rounded a corner, voices echoed ahead, guards stationed right at the entrance. Aelith grabbed his wrist and pulled him into a narrow alcove, pressing a hand to his chest to keep him still. Her long ears brushed his cheek. Stay quiet, she whispered. Marcus nodded, trying not to think about the fact that the princess, rebel heir to an empire, was pressed against him while guards searched for both of them. He whispered back, this is not how I imagined my diplomatic career, but it's definitely more exciting. She closed her eyes briefly. If you make one more joke, I will throw you out the airlock. He grinned. Noted. They stood perfectly still as the guards passed. When the last echo faded, Aelith met his gaze with a look halfway between exasperation and something warmer. "We move now," she whispered, and together, hearts pounding in synchrony, they slipped deeper into the ship, toward a message that might save two civilizations or doom them faster than the weapon ever could. Aelith led Marcus through the narrow maintenance corridors, each step echoing faintly against metal walls that vibrated with the flagship's shifting energy. Here, deep beneath the main decks, the ship felt alive in a different way. Less disciplined war machine, more slumbering titan with nerves exposed. Pipes glowed with soft blue plasma currents, cables pulsed like veins, and every so often a distant clang reminded Marcus that something enormous and unfathomable moved around them. "I'm starting to think your ship is breathing," Marcus whispered. "It regulates atmospheric pressure through an adaptive lattice," Aelith murmured. "If it were breathing, you would know. The sound is very unpleasant." "Glad to hear it's not snoring, at least." Her long ears flicked gently, her version of a tiny laugh maybe, and she signaled him to stay close as they approached a junction lit by swirling lights. "This path leads to the hangar arteries," she whispered. "From there we access the transport tubes to the surface of my homeworld." Marcus blinked. "Surface? As in, we're landing." She turned, face calm but eyes full of tension. "The council has summoned me home early. They plan to initiate the activation sequence. I must return. And you are coming with me." He stared at her. "Is that optional or—" "No." "Understood. Very persuasive." She pressed a panel, and a hidden door slid open with a hiss, revealing a small shuttle bay. Most ships rested under heavy guard, but a single vessel, sleek, dark, shaped like a crescent blade, sat alone, humming softly. "That's your private shuttle," Marcus guessed. "Yes. It is also the only one with encrypted entry codes that the council cannot override." "And we're sure they won't notice us borrowing it?" "I said they cannot override it," she corrected. "I did not say they will not notice." "Oh, wonderful." Inside, the shuttle smelled faintly of cold metal and some floral scent he couldn't name. The cockpit shimmered with holographic runes, most of which Marcus couldn't read, except the one he was pretty sure meant, "Do not touch." So naturally he touched nothing. Aelith activated the controls and the shuttle rose smoothly. As the hangar roof peeled open, Marcus got his first look at the royal flagship from the outside. An enormous crystalline leviathan drifting through space. Then the world beyond it appeared, her homeworld, a colossal white sphere wrapped in luminous rings, with cities glowing across its surface like constellations. Marcus let out a low whistle. "That's impressive. Terrifying. Impressive again." Aelith kept her eyes forward. "We land at the palace. Once inside, I will be summoned immediately. The council will believe they are in control." "And they aren't?" "No." The shuttle pierced the atmosphere, clouds streaking past the windows like silver mist. Marcus pressed his forehead against the glass, marveling at towers made of crystal, bridges suspended between floating platforms, and living architecture that seemed to shift organically. "Okay," he murmured. "Your planet definitely wins the Best Vacation Spot award, assuming it doesn't explode." "Assuming," she echoed dryly. They landed on a private terrace overlooking the palace grounds. Guards awaited them, armored, stern, and very much not thrilled to see Marcus. He was seized immediately, shackled, and escorted behind Aelith as she walked regally toward the palace entrance. She didn't look back, but her long ears angled once, the faintest acknowledgement of him. He took comfort in that tiny, alien gesture. Inside, the palace gleamed like carved moonlight. High ceilings shimmered with shifting constellations, and the air felt almost electric. Marcus was shoved to his knees as the war council gathered, elder nobles with stern faces and even sterner posture. One of them stepped forward. "Princess Aelith, you return at last." "Yes," she replied, bowing only slightly. "You summoned me." "We are ready to awaken the pillar," the elder said. "Your presence is required for the succession protocol." Marcus shot her a panicked look. Succession protocol sounded very official and dangerous. She answered calmly, "I understand." Marcus struggled as guards pushed him forward. Hey, hold on, he said. Before anyone activates anything ancient and horrifying, can we discuss safety guidelines? Maybe a manual? The elder glared at him. Silence, human. Aelith turned sharply. He is my prisoner. His voice is mine to permit or silence. The council murmured at her tone. Too bold, too sharp, but she continued before they could object. I have brought him because he alone understands the old human interfaces. He will accompany me into the chamber. Marcus blinked. I will. She didn't look at him, but her voice carried the weight of a silent command. Yes, you will. The council reluctantly agreed, and the guards dragged Marcus beside her as they descended beneath the palace. The air grew colder. Walls shifted from crystal to ancient stone, etched with human symbols older than any Earth nation. The path opened into a vast chamber where the Pillar of Ruin stood, a colossal sphere of interlocking crystalline shards, pulsing slowly like a giant heart. Marcus whispered, This is definitely above my pay grade. Aelith stepped closer, whispering so only he could hear. You must stay beside me. If things go wrong, run. Run where? Into the void? Her long ears lowered slightly. I would prefer you live. He swallowed hard. Yeah, me too. As the sphere brightened, the council prepared the activation sequence, and Marcus realized with a chill crawling down his spine that the device was already waking up, and it was responding, not to Aelith, not to the council, but to him. The chamber trembled as the pillar awakened, its crystalline plates rotating with deep, seismic clicks. Light bled from the core, thin at first, then growing bright enough to cast shifting shadows across Aelith's face. The council watched, their anticipation sharpened like knives. Marcus stood beside her, heart hammering, hands clammy, knees ready to give up on their job entirely. Aelith leaned toward him, whispering without moving her lips. The override sequence is beneath the primary interface. I will guide you. Do not hesitate. I hesitate constantly, Marcus whispered back. It's my defining trait. Then redefine yourself. Before he could argue, the council elder raised his staff and commanded, Begin. Energy surged from the floor into the walls, threads of blue light racing up the pillars, like veins pumping power toward the core. Marcus felt heat rise beneath his boots, like the device had recognized him, and wasn't thrilled. Aelith grabbed his hand. The guards bristled, confused, but she did not let go. Now, she hissed, pulling him toward a console shaped like an obsidian altar carved with human lettering. When Marcus touched the surface, the script flared to life in a warm gold glow. The council gasped. It responds to him, Marcus shrugged. I have very charming fingerprints. Aelith pressed her palm beside his. Initiate secondary layer, she said. Focus on the symbols that look like inverted spirals. All of them look like spirals, he whispered. Only the inverted ones. That doesn't help. The chamber shook as the core brightened again, the air vibrating with an eerie hum. The device was accelerating. Marcus inhaled sharply, trying to steady his hands. He closed his eyes and felt the patterns under his fingertips. Cool, ancient, familiar in some buried, instinctive way. Human-made, human-forgotten, human-terrifying. He selected the sequence. The core's hum faltered, just for a moment, but it was enough for the council to notice. What are you doing? The elder thundered. Princess, remove your hand. Aelith turned, her voice steady as the stone beneath them. I refuse to annihilate half the galaxy for your war. The chamber erupted in shouting. Guards lunged forward. Aelith thrust out her free hand, activating a shimmering barrier between them. Marcus blinked. You had a force shield this whole time? It drains energy quickly, and I was saving it. For what? This. Marcus grinned weakly. Flattered. The barrier trembled under the guard's assault. Aelith leaned closer to him. The override is incomplete. You must trigger the collapse. You say that like it's easy. Marcus, she said softly, trust yourself. He looked at her, at the fierce set of her jaw, the controlled fear in her glacial eyes, the long ears lowered with unspoken hope. Somehow, amidst the chaos, she made him feel steady. All right, he said. Let's break the apocalypse machine. He pressed his hand flat on the interface and followed the rising warmth traveling up his arm. Symbols rearranged themselves, converging on a single sigil, a command, a final choice. The sphere pulsed violently. Wind whipped through the cavernous hall. The council screamed warnings. Aelith squeezed his hand. Now! She shouted. Marcus slammed the sigil. A thunderous crack echoed through the chamber as the pillar collapsed inward, shards folding like petals closing around a dying star. A shock wave of harmless light burst outward, sweeping across the hall in a warm ripple that made Marcus's hair stand on end. Then, the hum died. The lights dimmed. Silence. Aelith released a trembling breath. It is done! The council lay strewn across the floor, stunned but alive. The guards stared in disbelief. Marcus looked at his still glowing hand, then at the darkened sphere. I can't believe that worked, he whispered. Usually when I press mysterious buttons, things explode. This time, she said, you saved us. He met her gaze. We saved us. The guards finally rose, but instead of attacking, they bowed to Aelith. Word spread quickly. Treasonous council members removed. The war halted. The princess hailed as the savior who prevented catastrophe. The succession protocol declared her rightful heir to the throne, which brought them to the balcony of her restored chambers hours later, quiet now, overlooking the glowing rings of her world. The soft light brushed her pale skin as she stood beside him, her long ears tilted gently toward him, in a gesture he now recognized as trust. You have a choice, she said. Your people know you live. They will welcome you home. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, and they'll ask for a full report and paperwork. So much paperwork. Aelith studied him carefully. You could remain here, as an advisor, as an ambassador. Her voice softened. As something more, if you wished. He swallowed. I came here as a prisoner, a terrified diplomat, a guy who panics at balconies, but I'm not that person anymore. Aelith took a small step